Hello everybody, it is Tuesday, the 8th of November. I want to make this video. I've just made pretty much the same video on my German channel, and I want to make this video now. What I'm saying now, I've said in bits and pieces all over the place, but I just want to bring it together for one more time and just leave it sitting there and see if it sinks in somewhere. But it really doesn't seem to. People can't see what is actually going on and where it is coming from. So I want to talk about becoming God's people. I've just listened to Doreen Dutan again, and saying that, oh, you presume that you can be drafted onto this tree, or even become, the replacement for this tree. And she says it's not in your DNA. And I was thinking, well, if it really depends on your DNA, thankfully I'm in the clear, because I had that stupid test taken and there's not a drop of Jewish in me. So if it were dependent on the DNA, I'm in the clear. Let me take my people out of Israel. Now, why people are so confused at the moment as to what is right and wrong and what they should believe and how should they look at this, is because in the Bible there are two masters, and there are two distinct ways of discerning good and bad. Two completely different ways of doing it. One is the way of Elohim, and one is the way of humanity, and they discern good and bad in two different ways. Now it says in the Bible that God Elohim does create man in his own image. And there are those here that are the image of Elohim, and that their discernment of good and bad is according to Elohim. And they serve his intention. And the rest are the plebs that are just humanity. So let me show how you need a duality to start with, to discern good and bad. You need to have two sides, otherwise there's nothing to discern. So God Elohim has got an intention, and he creates those that will serve that intention. And the intention is that he shall rule over this world, that he shall subdue nature. He will subdue nature. He needs to, because our nature says something different. So he needs to subdue our nature to have dominion over everything, because we will let him have dominion. Our nature should protect this world, but we will let him have dominion. And then the definition of good and bad is, good is what serves my intention, and bad is what goes up against it. That's the godly definition of good and bad. Yeah? My will shall be done, and whatever you do, if your sins were as red as crimson, or blood or whatever, I will make it white. I will declare righteous what has been done in my name. Now when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and bad, they saw each other. They knew each other. And that is a completely new beginning. The first beginning was God and intention, and here we have human being and human being as a beginning. And then out of that grew our knowledge of good and bad, which is love your neighbor as yourself, which is don't do unto others what you do not want done unto yourself. We know we should give and help others because we know out of the knowledge of ourselves how good it is to be helped, to be given when you need it. And our bottom line, our absolute bottom line, is in the Hippocratic Oath. do no harm. That's our bottom line. And that is our knowledge of good and bad. And it is in conflict with that other definition. Now when Adam and Eve, when their eyes were knowledge and they saw each other, they saw that they were naked. And that is, they were void of any godly intention, because they were created from the dust, from the earth, to serve the intention of Elohim. They had no intention of their own. And we keep going around circles, and we're still in that place. And I've been bemoaning that for a long time. Yeah, we know hundreds of things that we don't want. We have no idea where we're actually going. We need a plan, folks. But that plan must be grown out of our truth. And we must have the strength of our conviction. Now the story where God chose a people for himself, and they were led through the wilderness. Now at the beginning, they were given 10 commandments written in stone. And that is the law of our conscience. And it says, you shall not steal, you shall not kill, honor your father and mother. Don't desire even what belongs to somebody else. That's our law. That's the law of our conscience. And it was given to them to serve them. To serve them so they knew right and wrong when going through the wilderness. Now the first time, and because they were driven by the spirit of fear and desperation, where, hello folks, sound familiar? We are in that wilderness. We're driven by fear and desperation. A lot of us. The first time they were asked to go and possess that land, fear held them back. Now, they did not interpret their fear correctly, because they thought they were afraid of the giants. Fear warns you of danger. And that warning was, you are about to break the law of your conscience, that which was written in stone. Well, they didn't do it. But they were, for an entire generation, driven around the wilderness. And in the end, they had become the image of Elohim. They went in there and they possessed the land, and the outcome justified the means. Any means. We are justified by the outcome. And it is that what we are being driven toward. I mean, there are those here that are the image of God, that discern good and bad according to the outcome justifies the means, that think themselves elevated. And I'm not talking about the Jews now, because a lot of them are not on that path. Yeah? They think they're God's people, but they're not quite seeing it. But a lot are. They think themselves elevated. They think that, I don't know, through having the knowledge or the power, they are justified. And they do whatever, and the outcome justifies the means. It's in this world, big style. Under that thinking, life must serve the intention. To the point where it destroys itself, it really doesn't matter. But it must serve the intention. The intention is above life itself. And that's what's happening in this world. And there's the intention for power, the intention for riches. And you can do whatever as long as it brings you in billions. You're justified. Under the other thinking of good and bad, whatever knowledge we have, whatever we do, must serve life. Life is above everything else. And everything must serve life. But we are being driven through the wilderness until we forget who we are, and until we our knowledge of good and bad will bow to that other definition. We will become slaves to that other definition. And if we do that for long enough, I think the thinking is that hopefully we'll forget who we are. So let's not forget who we are. In fact, let's have our eyes opened to who we are and then stand in the strength of our own convictions. There you can see how to sort this mess out, when you see that there are two different definitions of what constitutes good and bad, and that humanity has got a definition of its own. And there is no other definition above that. There is no, do not serve other definitions. Do not serve other gods. There is no God before the definition that you have of good and bad. And out of that should come what we do next. It should serve life. It should give to our neighbor. We should receive ourselves. And hopefully we come up with a plan. But the thing is, if we stand in the strength of our own conviction, if we are, I am, and this is my definition of good and bad, then we should receive. The all should give to those that stand in knowing. Anyway, I leave it at that. And as I said, I want to leave it standing now for a while to see if anything comes back, if it's sinking in anywhere at all. If you want to help, share this video and feel free to donate to my channel. The donate button is in the corner of the home page. Anyway, I leave it at that and talk to you again sometime. Bye.